I'm Coach Mark Evans. Our videos are about teaching technique. It's as if I'm working with you one-on-one on each of these videos. Today, I'm on rollers, so forgive me if I'm not looking at the camera too often. We're going to talk today about cycling and how to use a drill called isolated leg spins, leg isolations, in order to improve your technique. We talk a lot about what I believe is the optimal pedaling stroke. I've done this in earlier videos, which is an over to downstroke, overstroke to downstroke. We usually begin weighting or applying more force roughly at about 11 o'clock and then unweighting at about 3 o'clock. And that would be encompassing most of your overstroke to your downstroke. First of all, a little about the drill. One-leg drills, which I've been coaching since 1982, helps the athlete from a neuromuscular point of view to apply pressure to the pedal in a more functional method. We get a lot of athletes that pull back, pull up, the old thing of scraping mud off the soles of your shoes. In my opinion, and for what I gleaned from research, is that most of your power is going to come from an area of roughly 55 degrees to about 100 degrees. That's where most of your power is going to come from. And that is, if I just coast here for a second, is roughly on that left leg, that's a roughly 55 degrees to roughly 100 degrees, or just beyond about what would be 4 o'clock. So roughly 2 to 4 o'clock is where most of your power, your peak power, is generated. And having an effective, efficient, and repeating overstroke to downstroke is an excellent tool to improve your efficiency. Now, a long time ago, we were doing these drills before we had EMG studies and spin scan analysis tools to help quantify which aspects of the strokes might be perfect or might be better to emphasize. And as it stands, the overstroke to downstroke is brought out, it's accentuated by a one-leg spin. And you will feel that as you practice the drill, the focus, in order to keep symmetry and not to have flat spots in your stroke, you will feel that if you keep the overstroke to downstroke as an emphasis, that your stroke will be more symmetrical. Some coaches will have you uncleat like this when they have you practice your one-leg spins. Now, I disagree with that method because your hip is in extension much further than it would normally be around the axis of the pedaling stroke. So I don't like to use that in practice. However, to learn, and especially for newcomers, to learn to feel what that power point or most efficient point within the pedaling stroke feels like, there's nothing better than to click out, and you don't have to do this on the rollers, but on an indoor trainer is perfectly fine. But if you click out, you will feel, in order to keep symmetry in that opposite foot, that you have to emphasize the overstroke and the downstroke. It's just a natural feeling, and in order to keep the momentum and to limit inertia on the pedal, you have to use the overstroke to downstroke. It teaches you a perfect stroke. In practice, we don't unclick. What we want you to do is to dominate, say, with just the right leg. So right now I'm dominating with the right. The left is just unweighted, no pedal pressure at all, no forces on the left, no pulling back, no pulling up. Everything is dominated right side. Now, speaking of the backstroke and upstroke for a moment, there are forces there. You will pull back slightly, you will pull up slightly, but it's under 5%, maybe 10% of your total power output is brought about through those what I refer to as transitional phases. So click out to learn the feeling, click in to practice. How do you practice? Practice many ways to do this. Usually at either a high pedaling resistance or a combination of low pedaling resistance. So you could go a workout of 5 sets of 30 seconds, left leg only, cleated in, but focusing on the left for 30. Then right leg only for 30. Repeat that 5 times. At 90 RPMs for the first set, 95 for the second, 100, 105, and so on, until you've completed 5 repetitions, 5 sets of 30 seconds left, 30 seconds right, up to a higher RPM than you started with. Usually those are in the small chainring, a light gear, light pedaling resistance, LPR. The other thing is high pedaling resistance. High pedaling resistance, where you'll put it in the large chainring and larger gear, and you'll emphasize the strength of each of those movements. So left leg, 30 seconds left at a low RPM, like the first set at 55 RPMs. Then switch to the right for 30 seconds at 55, and then the next set at 60, and the next set at 65 and 70, and so on. So you could go through a set where you're focusing both on light pedaling resistance and harder pedaling resistance, with a key upon the overstroke to downstroke on each one of those. Anyway, this is a great drill. I would recommend you do it a few times a week. Even on days maybe when you don't have a cycling workout, you could spend 5 or 10 minutes on your trainer working on these leg isolations at both high and low RPMs. And if you happen to have a CompuTrainer, put it on the polar graph and watch your average torque angles and your spin scan numbers, and try to keep your torque angles roughly 90 to 95, and your spin scans, we really would like to keep those above 80, and you'll have to work on those to get those. So, as I always like to say, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and please try to make every movement that you make better than the last. I'm Coach Mark Evans, and thanks for watching Online Learning Center.